quiet lately, isn't it? We live in a world where cars are being silenced. Whether it's new laws or new technologies, the sound, the soul of the internal combustion engine is ebbing slowly away. No bad thing, I suppose. Silence is supposed to be golden. It's good for our well-being, good for the peace, good for the world around us. And yet, I don't know if silence is always good for me.
Don't get me wrong, I appreciate moments of calm as much as the next person. But on days like this, when you've been given the keys to a brand new Ferrari 812 GTS, well then I think that's a pretty good excuse to disturb the peace. Oh my God! Jeez! Can you hear that? That is the sound of a naturally aspirated V12 engine. That is the sound of 6.5 litres revving to 8,500 RPM. Old school brutality. You can hear it, the people back there in the town can hear it, sorry, and most importantly, I can hear it. And I can hear it even better because this is the 812 GTS, the convertible version of the 812 Superfast. And with the roof down, if I knock it into race mode to open up the valves, drop it down a gear, and another, and another, and another, and another, and then send it. It just makes the most glorious noise. My goodness. It's like pouring barbecue sauce in one ear and honey in the other. Ah! And the performance numbers match the sound. 0 to 62 in under 3 seconds, 0 to 124 miles an hour in 8.5 seconds, and flat out 211 miles an hour. And you can do it with the roof open. This thing is nuts. They should call it the 812 Stupidly Quick, because that's what it is. No, the 812 Stupidly Quick Spider.
Cars like this should be hugely popular, and yet they're being replaced by models with more eco-friendly motors. EVs are the future, but I've been giving it some thought, and I'm not convinced that these loud, obnoxious petrol monsters are ready for the scrap heap quite yet.
Now, I love electric cars as much as the next person, but there are a few reasons why we might want to keep the V12. Hear me out. Firstly, they don't actually use that much petrol. All right, the economy is not great. I'm getting around 12 miles per gallon right now, but that's the whole point. You use so much petrol, who on earth can afford to keep filling these things with super unleaded? You're going to use less fuel. Less fuel means less pollution. That's a good thing. Secondly, V12s have been around for donkey's years. Decades. If you keep V12s, you won't have to spend loads of money on research and development, on batteries and hybrid systems. Keeping these means we're basically recycling, and that's a good thing. And also, they're a safety feature. How many people do you know that have been run over by a V12 Ferrari? Literally none. And that's because people hear them coming. They feel them coming. They move. They live. It's a no-brainer.
In fact, I've been using my brain, and there's another huge reason for keeping the V12. That Italian engine generates crazy amounts of heat, and with a little imagination, that extra Italian heat can be harnessed and put to use in a way that might actually reduce the amount of gas or electrical energy we use in our homes, specifically in the kitchen. While that's on, let's take a closer look at what makes this car so different to the standard superfast. The windscreen has subtle spoilers that shape the air above the roof. The wing mirrors have been reshaped to help deflect the air more efficiently. You get these gorgeous flying buttresses instead of a C-pillar, a very slightly different rear diffuser, and, as a consequence of having a folding roof, a slightly smaller boot. All in all though, there's no question the 812 GTS combines beauty, everyday usability, and if you're smart with the way you use it, that V12 could also help save the planet. Food for thought.
Okay, so maybe my logic isn't completely perfect. V12 Ferraris aren't for everyone. They're expensive for a start. The standard 812 Superfast costs £260,000. The 812 GTS costs £290,000. But this one has a few options. This thing, fully loaded, cost £335,000. Ouch. But you could argue that's actually money well spent, because when you have a Spider, you can hear the engine in all its glory. In my experience, Ferrari V12s sound great, the tune is amazing, but the volume is comparatively low, especially in comparison to something like a Lamborghini. But with the roof down, you can hear the thing in all its glory, and that's got to be worth the extra £30,000, surely. Incidentally, this is, I believe, the second Ferrari to have a gas particulate filter added to the exhaust. In most cars, that destroys the sound completely, but in this, not a bit of it. So many manufacturers have really stiff, heavy steering on their sports cars, but this is the complete opposite. It's so light. And that's good because you get to a corner, you turn in, and it's so responsive. It's almost one step ahead of you. It knows exactly what you want to do. It's precise. Look at that. Apex, bang, no problem whatsoever. Plus you've got rear wheel steering, so the whole car rotates so sweetly, so eagerly. And you actually need that because you apply a little bit too much throttle coming out of a corner and it can snap on you in an instant. So having fast steering is essential. Maybe not ideal in a GT car such as this, but it's ideal in a GT car with 800 horsepower going to the rear wheels, trust me.
The ride is very good. The car is 75 kilos heavier than the Superfast, and you do feel that weight. You also feel a slight twitchiness in the chassis when you go over rough roads with the roof down. But if you engage the bumpy road mode, things soften up quite nicely.
The star of the show, believe it or not, isn't the engine, it's the 7-speed dual clutch transmission. It is bellissima, as I believe the Italians say. It's so good, it goes up and down in an instant. So responsive, never misses a beat. It's like cracking a whip or conducting an orchestra. It really allows the engine to shine. There is an auto mode, but you never use it just because the gearbox is so good. And look at this, if I hold the left paddle, it drops it down to the lowest gear possible so you can launch the car with as much ferocity as that engine can manage. It is sensational. Not everyone will understand. I don't expect everyone to understand, but for me, the noise from a V12 just touches parts of your soul that not many other things can. And in the world that we live in today, not many other things will.
I say that because we've reached the end. Series-produced NAV12s like this don't exist outside Ferrari or Lamborghini, and during that uncertain period between the present and our electric future, displacements will become smaller, filters more restrictive, sound laws more prohibitive. Silence will reign, so these are the cars we need to cherish now.
Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against electric cars. I think they're a huge part of our future. But I'm still gonna miss the sounds, the sensations, that low guttural rumble from the exhaust, the pops and the bangs, the howl, the scream, the shriek. That glorious noise that you can only get from a naturally aspirated V12. I sit here and I give you advice about cars every other day, but if there's one piece of advice I implore you to take, it's that if you are lucky enough to have access to a V12, get out there and drive it. Get out there and enjoy it, because pretty soon it's going to be too late.